It is 1 a.m. on a Wednesday, and I am filming last week's video, which means I have not succeeded this week at my mission of uploading one song every week and a breakdown of said song. And that's okay, and that's fine. I am going to try to do 2 songs this week, which is crazy, but I'm committed, I'm determined. That being said, this last week was a struggle. It wasn't easy. I say it pretty much every single video. I'm not a mixing engineer. That is not my bag. I've been trying kind of hard throughout this little experiment to not shit on these songs, as I'm explaining them, not be too self-deprecating, because I don't think you should be. I think if you don't defend your music, no one else is gonna. So I've really been trying to kind of hold my head high about them, even when I'm like, no, this sucks. No, this is terrible. But I cannot, in just good faith, I cannot look you in the screen and tell you that these vocals are good. I don't think they are. For some reason that escapes my knowledge, because my knowledge on mixing is limited. They sound so demo. They sound flat and lackluster, and I've EQ'd and pulled out every trick that I know that you can use to make vocals sound decent. They're just not hitting. But the whole point of this experiment is that I get to move on from things. Those vocals are the reason I maybe spent a little too long on this track. That is why we're running late. That's why we're rushing to turn things in. But you know what? That's really the point of this. A big part of why I was inspired to do this was because I kind of think about damn, when I was in music school, I would crank out songs all the time. And honestly, I look back, some of them were decent. And it's because I had a deadline. Because if you have to turn in a song next week, you'll make a song. And if you do it every week, some are going to be good, but some are going to be bad. Listening back, I don't think the song is that bad. I literally just finished it. I was just adding finishing touches. I'm getting the full college experience here. I don't think it's bad, but these vocals, God damn it, they were the bane of my existence this week. I don't think they're poppin'. I do think it's a good song though. Honestly, I like the writing. I like some of the production. I don't think the production is my cleanest work, because honestly, my struggle with the vocal kind of made a lot of other parts of the production a little rushed for how rushed those other aspects were. Better than what rushed used to mean for me. I'm taking that as a win. Enough preamble. Here's what I did. So it all started because of this. This is actually from the Wii soundtrack that I found off YouTube. I think it's what plays with the internet settings. And I just thought it was just the most beautiful 80s synth wavy pop thing ever. And I was like, I can make a song with that. I had no business going that hard. I think we can all agree. So that was the vision. Cute little romantic song to the Wii soundtrack. Because we are blessed with Ableton 12, I stemmed this bad boy. And we got our individual stems. We got our drums, we got our bass, and we got our others. Once I had that, I literally just poached these individual sounds. I poached the kick, I poached the snare, and put them all into samplers. They're the ones titled sample. So those are the ones drawn directly from the song. So this is the song's kick that I stripped. The snare. The hats that I used very sparingly. The bass, I did the same thing with the bass. So yeah, post all those sounds individually so that I could then build around the central idea. I was the Wii soundtrack part, I kind of wanted to keep somewhat intact for the choruses. And I was I'll build simpler things for the verses, pre-choruses, etc. But as you can see, I also did some little adjustments just so that it sounded a little more seamless. I boosted a little bit the bass because just it has that resampled sound to it. So I did want it to sound a little cleaner. Made the bass a little bassier, cleaned up the sample, the others audio a little too, things like that. And as you may have noticed, also layered the kick. The kick was just feeling a little bit lost in the mix. So I just layered it with another kick, which is this one. That's them together. That's just a sample. That's kind of how I went about getting all the elements so that I could start working around that central idea, that chorus. Now, let's talk about what I actually did here. I'm really just going to go through chronologically and play it and just say whatever I think is actually somewhat interesting about the track. The intro is cute. It is just like the others stem from the like we sample. I'm just going to play it. That's just like, yeah, that like others audio, which is just like, I guess like the pads and like the little keys, blah, blah, blah. And then a little record scratch sample that goes into the beat of the verse, which is, I want to say I copied. Yeah, it's a pretty faithful copy of like the kick pattern from like the drums from the we sample. The snare is like probably pretty faithfully captured as well. I mean, it's just the backbeat. But I added some things. I added this like gated snare every other hit to like, I mean, it's like an 80s like kind of pop thing. It felt warranted. Little claps here. Wait, scratch that. I think this clap is poached. This one is from like the we sample. And I did add this conga. So here I made just like a stripped back version of the bass line from the chorus. So like the progression, the harmony throughout the song is the same the entire way through. You can literally see in the MIDI, this is already a stripped back version of the audio from the sample, the bass from the sample. And this is a stripped back version of the stripped back version. And I think like maybe the winning feature here, this is just like a little pluck. And this guy is actually taken from Hotel Party. I used the exact same like bright Juno keys that I used in that song. That was last week's song for those of you that are new here. Took it straight from that project. It worked perfectly. It's so 80s. And honestly, one of the wins of the song is the use of this, like this little melody. Dun, 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 dun. Stealing like an artist vis-a-vis last week talked about how like my reference track was 1999 by Charlie XCX. I very imaginatively took another Charlie XCX song. I'm sorry, she makes great pop. She makes really great pop. And I love making good pop songs. Her song Baby Girl from Number One Angel was like the inspo. So when I was working on this verse, I was like, why is it like a little bit lackluster? Like what needs to happen in the harmonic section? So I poached from like Baby Girl the concept of like having very like high synthy element doing like a really basic counter melody. So that's what this is. And then with the pluck, that's... And also poached from like the whole concept of Baby Girl, these like super funky sounding keys. It's like a slightly like lower register key element, something that'll occupy like more mid section, especially here because like we're still in the intro, there's no vocals yet. So it's like fair game to take up that register. And as you can see throughout the song, like I was really sparing with where I featured it. It's a nice sound, but like, yeah, it clashes right with that vocal. At the end, I featured a little more prominently. Maybe it could be made to work. I know you shouldn't fix it in the mix. But I think maybe somebody that was a better mixing engineer could. But I will say that is one advantage of being like a really bad mixer. Is that I force myself to not fix it in the mix because there's no one coming to save me. So if the song doesn't sound good without mixing, then it's just not gonna sound good. And I think that's really important. I genuinely do. I mean, that was kind of almost like the whole point of last week's video. And I will say it again, and I will say it probably every video, you can't just fix it in the mix. Like the elements do have to work together. If the elements are just like stepping on each other's toes constantly throughout the song, no amount of mixing is going to save it. You can like make it sound more bearable, but it won't like hit, you know? You need the elements to be in their little pockets, all have their little space, or else you're just going to have a bunch of shit that like might as well not be there because you're not going to be hearing half of it. I think that's like one of the most valuable lessons I have learned as a producer. But yeah, all that to say, these little funky keys, very cute, used super sparingly, but this is them. The rhythmic section here is super simple. I mean, in the whole song, it's super simple. And this is kind of like the most complicated the rhythm gets, except for in the chorus, because in the chorus, I am using just the sample, the wee sample, and that one has like hella little percussive elements. This one, I mean, yeah, it's got like the conga and like the little claps, but that's it. Like other than that, it's really just kick snare. It doesn't even have hi-hats. I think I introduced some hi-hats in the bridge, but that is like quite literally it. There's like almost no other hi-hats. There's like an open hi-hat here. That's it. So yeah, here's that like drum loop. That conga snare, like every other hit. We get to the verse. The big shift is like the bass gets a little more movement. And as I mentioned, we cut these like funky keys because then the vocals come in. And then we have these like super talky vocals, corny white girl rap, if you will. The drums stay almost exactly the same, cut out the gated snare. I will say, out of all of the like wrestling I did with the vocals, this part I'm not mad at. I actually like am somewhat happy with how these sound. So if you think these sound ridiculous, it's mostly intentional ridiculousness. I'm gonna play starting from like the intro into the verse, so we can hear like the change in the bass line.
Walked up to me like, hi, what's your name? Has anybody told you about a sweet little game? It's called Boy Meets Girl. I said, nah, I don't play, but I could roll the dice on a match of charades. Sit out screenplay, title 6 words. Falling in love like two lovebirds. Going for seconds, going for thirds. Isn't that the funniest thing you ever heard?
We go into the pre-chorus, transitional elements, which I'm always talking about. If you're new here, I talk about this every time. They're so important. I literally did them like minutes before filming this. They're the last thing I do a lot of the time. Go through it and be like, this could hit harder. What can we do for this transition to feel like an exciting new thing and not like, oh shit, things are changing, you know? You want to contextualize it. You kind of want to like very subtly, it doesn't take much, but if you just do like one little drop of whatever, the listener is like, shit's gonna go down. And then when shit does go down, it's very exciting. It's just like, I don't know, I can't explain it, but you can hear it. Like the littlest thing should just sit up and just like makes it such an experience. All of that intro for like what I think is, you know, probably not the most interesting transition in the world. But hey, that's kind of the point, right? It doesn't have to be the most interesting thing in the world. Yeah, just a little like mix up in the drums, right? The kick cuts out, got this little like snare just going right there at the end. The hi-hat, the open hat to like reinforce. And we cut out the bass. And then we already had like these, you know, these keys. These are the funky keys from before. It's like a good place to have.
Going for thirds. Isn't that the funniest thing you ever heard? Driving downtown, don't need the maps. Just your pretty face on the lock screen. 95 on the dash. You got me go.
No, I drive like a grandma and I don't drink, but all I write about is driving fast and getting drunk. It's just so easy to make like lyrics about getting drunk and driving fast. It's like not my fault that I don't enjoy those things. I'm a bit of a poser. That was the transition, and we went into the pre-chorus. We heard the pre-chorus. We know what it's like. What is different in the pre-chorus? Literally not much. We bring back that gated snare. And that's really just why I took it away, was just so that it could come back. Just like little things to evolve. This was like a really minimalist track. And then obviously a little reverse cymbal as a riser. Cut out that bass as we transition into the chorus. So here, this was like me trying to recreate, not like super duper faithfully, but like approximately what happens here. It didn't have to be exact because I was like, okay, well, like it's supposed to be fuller in the chorus anyways. I'll do like a stripped back version. So I just tried my best to like create a serum patch. Well, like I fished through presets and kind of tweaked it so that it sounded as close as possible as I could to this like sample. And if anyone has like interest in like more sound design stuff, I do talk more sound design stuff on TikTok. I haven't posted on TikTok almost at all this week, but that'll be changing. But I can do it more on YouTube if that's like something people want. So if you're one of the few people watching this and that's something you want to see, you should say that. Also, because if you comment, that makes me look good to the algorithm. Daddy, I'll go. So yeah, and then like there's like these little like beeps happening, like little like really sparkly, glittery beeps in this sample. So I also tried my best to recreate those. Also a serum preset that I like manipulated and did things to, as you can see, just like delay, a little like pan to the side to side. Actually, I'm gonna play those all alone, and then I'm gonna go into this, like the sample from like the Wii song, so we can see how I did. Yeah, it's not like, obviously it's not exact, but I think it's close enough that it doesn't feel weird, and they're side by side. And of course, my baby Juno is still here, just kicking it. So, because here in the verse, we had like only half of the melody, because originally I had like kind of two parts to the melody, and this is like the whole like melody that those keys do. But it just was a bit much in the verse. So that's why I kind of just went with the like two notes, just kind of supporting the pad, the dun dun like melody. That like pluck is doing. Here I featured like the whole thing. So let's hear all the aforementioned. Chorus was the easiest part because I literally just took the samples, still like kept that kick going because I did it here because the kick sounded a little weak. You heard it. It was necessary. And once I had that support on the kick here, it just had to be everywhere in the song. Otherwise, it would have just sounded like a huge dip in energy. Little 808 cymbal to initiate the chorus. And then just straight up the ripped off audio from the Wii sample. That's it. And vocals. We should talk about transitional elements again. All we got is this little snare doing a little and we cut out the bass. I think that's all. Well, okay, fine. We have a riser. That is kind of a really easy way to create a transition. I'd say don't be afraid to use a riser, but don't be afraid to not use a riser. If it's just every single transition is a riser, it gets old fast, but like they go a long way. Like it's a really easy way to just take a transition and be like, this doesn't sound like it's about to go anywhere. Boom, riser, you're done. So it's like kind of the easy way out, but like a lot of times the easy way out is exactly what you need to be taking.
Just your pretty face on my lock screen. 95 on the dash. You got me going, my boy. Up and down the street. My face is showing all the kisses you gave to me. You got me going, my boy's got a thing for me, and I can't seem to get this boy off of my mind.
That was the chorus, and we went into this like transitional section. For the transition, the mission was like just keep it light and airy, meaning I wanted to like really just have drums and like the high end elements take up a lot of like space up top, so that it feels like it just sort of like you're left with this and then like that way when you come back to the verse you like kind of sink back into it. When you hear it, it makes sense. Fun things. This transition I think is fun. We just keep this little like imitation of the electronic piano from and the little beeps. So like the same thing from the pre-chorus, except we now have like, instead of the Juno doing its like little melody, just like these two notes. It helps fill out that high end, and it does like what I need it to do. And here it is like with everything else. So subtle. I'll do it again. Super subtle, but I think important. I think effective. Sometimes like if you feel like a part of the register needs to be filled more, it doesn't have to be crazy. Like sometimes we're tempted to like build out a whole like counter melody to like occupy that, and it can really just be like one note of the pad, just, or like in this case 2 notes, you know, just filling up the top end. Like it doesn't have to be more than that. There's a little cymbal. We sparse out the gated snare. What I do think is cool, okay, here's the thing about me. If you only know one thing about me, I love a glided bass. I love a glided bass. It's always the best part of a song. I can't make a song without like a bass that glides. I thought I was gonna have to, because like this is a sample. And also it's like a super plucky bass. Like even if you were to have a glide, it would be a really short one. But you know what? God damn it, I did it. The way I did it was just manipulating the audio. Normally, if it's a synth bass, you just go into the synth settings and you set portamento on it, or glide, or whatever it's called. But this was not a synth bass, this is a sampler, because we poached it from the Wii sample, which means we couldn't glide it. So what I did was just like resample the note in question, boom, go up here, clip, transposition, and like literally, motherfucker, literally transposed it down. Like it goes like an octave down. So yeah, I made the glide happen. I made the glide I wish to see in the world. Here's it leading into the bass line of the verse. Super tiny, but I will go to whatever length. Oh my God. I will go to whatever lengths I need to make a glide in a bass. Because what's the point? What's the point if your bass can't glide? We have verse 2. It is all but identical to verse 1, obviously, except the top line. We did get rid of like these bright keys in the first half of it to bring them back in the second half. I know that sounds really like small and insignificant, but I don't think it is. I think like removing elements like that, especially something like so like dainty and high end, like these, like this Juno has been, it's one of those things that's like not heard but felt. I mean, it is heard, but like it's felt more. I feel like it's just one of those things that like elevates a track. It's just like having something just come back all of a sudden and you didn't even really realize it was gone to begin with.
A lick of spirulina strawberry shake, a bite of butterscotch cream birthday cake, ice cream for a little more every single day. So much for staying away, yeah. So much is going okay, yeah. Driving round town, don't need the miles. Just your pretty face on my lock screen. My boy sweet like a witch from an eyelash. You got me going, my boy.
Okay, pre-chorus. The next pre-chorus, again, pretty identical to the previous one. Are there any differences? No, it's identical. This chorus, identical. But then we go into like an alternative ending for the chorus. I did this last week too. Chorus, kind of like second part of the chorus. I dig that. I feel like not enough pop songs do that. A lot of them do, but like not enough. I think it's really cool. It's like a good like non-bridge way to like move the song forward. And then when it comes back, because then you like bring it back in the last chorus and then it's so good. People are like, wait, this is new yet familiar. So yeah, this like alternate part of the chorus, and it is same bass, same pad, but we bring in like the little Juno keys because they go everywhere. They're just, they work so well on this track. Honestly, I ate with those. We've got these like, because the whole song is like super talky and or like auto-tuned, whatever. So we have this like, it's like almost like soul-ish backup vocals, whatever, like a little choir moment. And they're like mimicking the melody of this Juno. I think it's cute that like a melody that you've had happening throughout the whole song gets to come back, but like in a new way. Suddenly you like hear it front and center. So it feels new yet familiar. Let's listen to that alternate ending of the chorus.
A thing for me and I can't seem to get this boy off of my mind. Oh, I love you, stuck in my mind, like a bad tune. My boy's so fine, can't get it out my head unless I say to you, I love my boy.
This bridge, I didn't know what to do. Again, I'm trying hard not to like shit all over the song. I do think it's good. Again, I really do believe that. I think a lot about it isn't well executed, but I think it's a cool song. I like it. This bridge, I'm not satisfied with. If I had more time to obsess over it, unfortunately, I would. From the beginning, I was like, no, I think like chops will work. So I like didn't record any vocals specifically for the bridge. I didn't like pen anything for the bridge because I was like, no, I think like the vibe is chops. I love a chop, but did it end up working? No. Did I like do the work of going back to try and like write something that might have worked? No. These are just fetched from like all around the song. You can kind of tell what some of these are. Like this is obviously "You Got Me Going," but like pitched up. You can hear the "I'm going okay," yeah, things like that. It's like automating on and off this delay. That's it. That's all I'm gonna say about these chops. I do like what happens in this bridge instrumentally. This could have been a good bridge. Bass, we add a sub because I wanted it to feel like it's a little airier, it's a little spacier. This is just like some Serum preset, whatever. Just a layer underneath that bass so that it could have like a little sustain on it, because this is just like so plucky. And because the sample that I like pulled from like the Wii sample, I could only get like a note as long as the longest note that happened to be played in that segment. So I didn't have anything that like rung out. So I just like found something that could like fill up that space, and layered it under so you can see those notes are long. And they have glide. Of course there's glide. So there's like a little bit of glide here. We got our hats for the first and only time in the entire song, except for the choruses, because those are like baked into the sample, whatever. And we've got the funky keys, but the funky keys were resampled. So Ableton does these little like one thing videos. They like interview different producers that use Ableton and like ask them like a little fun thing that they do on Ableton. And I just like literally happened to watch one like as I was producing this of She in Green. What She in Green did was really neat. She actually did it on vocals, but I did it on these little funky keys. As you can see here, it's muted. I had the funky keys just play like the chords, and then I resampled that. You set the warp to beats mode. It's gonna default to transients, and you change it to like 1/16 or like whatever, you know, subdivision you want. I went with 16ths here, and to forward. And then like this envelope, as you move it, it'll like tighten or loosen around those 16th notes. So you get like this kind of stuttering effect, and it's really cool. The thing is, you can't automate this bad boy for some reason. Ableton, get on that. I don't know. So you do, if you want to like have that shift throughout, you do have to like do it manually and resample it into a new track. So that's why it's like double 2 resample tracks here. This one's muted, obviously. But I'll show you that. Here gets this here. And you can see it's like a little imperfect because like dragging it, you can't just like automate it perfectly. You have to drag it, and it's a little like jumpy, but that's kind of cool. It's kind of cool that it's not perfect. Yeah, the bridge has these guys as well as these like bright keys from like the whole song. And as you can see, we silence those bad boys right at the end to build up this transition. Same, we cut out that bass, we have a riser, we get rid of these hats, we get rid of this kick, all because we're going into the final chorus, which is almost the same as all the previous choruses. What is different about it? The first half, like nothing, except for the fact that there is like now the gated snare. The second half though, that's where like, as I mentioned earlier, like I do bring in those like funky keys. Again, only like the second half of the phrase, and then just to end the song, it ends on the little "I love my boy." And so we cut out the bass. We have a little like crash that I like made it a little shorter. Cut out the last 2 hits of the conga, you know, just like "I love my boy." Like I want a boy to be like the last thing you hear. And something I actually liked about the vocals, this like minor alteration in like the lead vocal of the chorus. The other ones were "Love is shown all the kisses you gave to me," and this one's "gave to me." So small and insignificant, but I think it's really cool. I don't know, I liked that. We're gonna play bridge through to end, and we're done.
You got me going, my boy, up and down the street. My face is showing all the kisses
I'm going to end it there because it's like 2 a.m. It's 2:08 and I'm not proud of these vocals. If I get even 2 comments saying they want to see the breakdown of the vocal, I'll do it, but I don't think I will. I don't think they're really worth paying much attention to. Also, if you're like, hey, this is why they sound so ass, I welcome criticism because I don't know what I'm doing. I'm not a mixing engineer. Maybe next week I'll have vocals worth talking about. So yeah, that's it. That's it for today. Thank you for joining. It means so much that you even clicked on this video, let alone watched even part of it. Even if you like skipped 2x, I don't care. Thank you for being here. Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe and or comment if you wanna. And I'll see you next week.